Welcome back to New Script on the Block. Today I am Ashley Hakes, and I am
just
today.
Only
for today.
Just for today.
See,
tomorrow I will be Alyssa,
and
the next day I'll be Darian.
I actually listened to a podcast about someone with multiple personality disorders, so this is could be the start of that.
Was it Tara from 30 States, or was that called? It was a TV show. Tara of like 30.
Oh, I know what
you're
you're talking about, but I can't remember the name.
She had like 30 identities in the TV show.
Yeah, it was a TV show.
I've never heard of that.
We watched.
Yeah.
Is this something older or newer? Like
it's a couple of years old.
Just a couple.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
State of Terra?
Yeah, you may be right.
I feel like it's recently become a lot more like known socially because of things like Split. You know what I mean?
Man,
and also Legion was
Split.
another one that was. Is it Legion? It's by FX, and it's actually based on a character from the X-Men universe, and he has multiple personalities, but each personality has their own mutation. Like, they have their own abilities.
Jeez,
yeah.
And it's called Legion?
I think it's Legion.
Is it a movie out right now?
No, it's a series that ran. I don't know if it's over or not yet.
I'll write it down.
I just know of the movie.
Yeah.
I just know that, Satan was called Legion, but other than that.
Yeah. That might be why. That might be where they get it from.
Okay, should I start over?
Oh, no. I mean, we're already deep into this. Let's just introduce our guest. Would you please introduce yourself? Let the audience know who they're listening to.
Sure. Darian Lane.
Wow, that was smooth like butter.
Butter.
And Darian's here to talk about his script, Minnie and ALVIS. Darian, what inspired you to write this particular story? Was there anything behind this?
Not really, actually. I came back from one of the groups they had here at, the Film Fusion, where they do your thing. And
I think we do the monthly movie meeting by IFP is hosted here at Arizona Studios.
Yes, that's where I came, and then I remember she announced something about horror. And
you were there that day?
I was there that day.
Oh, boy.
I actually showed my film that day.
Oh, man, I missed it. I was working on stuff. I'm sorry.
All good. I'm not hurt.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Hold on. Let me put myself together real quick.
If you want to send it to me, I will personally watch it.
Personally.
What film did you show at the monthly movie meeting?
I show AVP. It's called AVP, like Volleyball Association.
See, and I immediately went to Alien
versus Predator.
Oh, wow. That's funny. That tells me a lot about you guys. You guys do not leave the theater at all. No, it's beach volleyball, and it was like a reality show that I filmed here in Arizona. And so they gave me critiques, which actually there weren't any. They thought it was great. So
that's great.
That's
good.
I
was very happy about that.
The best feedback.
That is the best feedback. I was waiting to have my pen out in the book, and they were like, "No, we don't have anything for that one." Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, they thought it was really tight. So did that, and then she brought up the horror thing, and I was like, you know what? I've never written anything horror.
Oh, really?
Ever. Nice. So I was going to write it horror in my kind of way, different. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'm going to use like something cheap that you can film cheap, and and something based personality-wise.
Yeah.
Okay. It does have like a bit of a comedic element to it too. Like when we dive into it, listeners, you will see, but.
Yeah. You will hear.
I hear that. Well, you'll hear. Yeah.
You will hear.
Yeah.
But that's cool. So this is kind of like abnormal in terms of genre for what you normally work on.
Yeah, I'm kind of like a drama kind of guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
Cool.
Nice.
Can I ask? And I bring this up because you're the first male writer we've had come in who did a script that is. I mean, it's an all-female cast. How do you go about that process? Like, are you working with, inspiration from women in your life, or how do you?
No, not at all, actually.
Not at all.
I actually just go, like, I hear, it's going to sound like crazy, like Tower of 50 States, but it's going to sound like I hear the voices in my head, and I just like, okay, I got her. So then I just write them out, and then they kind of like, and I just talk it out, and once I finish it, I read through, and I was like, okay, that sounds accurate, and then I'll be done.
As a writer, how did you get to that? Is that just something that's always been with you, or is that like, hey, I started with bios, and now I'm at the point where I don't really need to write things down anymore?
My first all-female movie was The Collector, and I went to a bunch of festivals. And I had a friend of mine, and her name was Jessica, and she was known throughout Malibu for collecting men.
Okay.
Yeah, that was kind of her thing.
Lady.
So she was like a really good friend of mine, and we would never hook up, and we were like totally really good friends, and she would invite me over all the time because she made jewelry, so she'd be at the house all the time in Malibu. And I'd go over there, and she literally let me read through her diaries.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I would go
so
through.
So you've invaded the mind of a woman.
Totally invaded everything, and I was like, she's actually a very good writer, and she should write, but she doesn't. But I read through all of her diaries, and I just lay on her bed and just go through her diaries, cracking up, and so many funny stories she had, and just her mindset and everything. And so afterwards, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna write this story about you. And she's like, all right. And she was totally about it. And then she came to the premiere, and she was kind of like shocked, like when she saw herself being portrayed on the screen. She was like, "Oh my God!"
Shocked in a good way, or like
no,
oh God, this is embarrassing. Everyone knows me now.
No, because it's actually premiered at the Malibu Film Festival. And I went to LA and New York and a bunch of others. But she was like shocked to just see herself like portrayed on screen, not even offended or whatever, just seeing herself actually there.
Yeah.
She was like, "Oh my God, that's me."
So she was actually in the movie, or just an actress who portrayed her?
There was an actress who portrayed her. Actually, the actress who portrayed her had a TV show, Haunting of Hill House or something.
Oh yeah.
Wow, really?
I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it.
I love that show. It was.
You do?
It was.
Kate.
I like horror films, so I'm like.
Kate Siegel, the black-haired girl.
I mean,
she was the kind of lesbian.
Look the same. Oh, but the lesbian. Okay, that's
Kate. She's like, okay, now I know exactly.
They
all had dark hair, but
yeah. Well, because all the cast, like the primary story revolves around a family, so all of the women are very well casted to look like these women could really be related.
Yeah,
like they're very similar looking.
And it's funny because it's her husband who wrote and directed it.
Oh, really?
Who wrote and directed that series.
That's awesome.
And I was kind of perturbed because I could see like the collector a little bit in it because she's collecting women this time.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was like, I see. Using my stuff. No, but it was very well written. He did a good job.
Yeah, I mean, they played with time and stuff. Honestly, Ashley, like I know you're not into like the spooky, like she gets freaked out by paranormal-y stuff.
Yeah. I do too, actually.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Like horror stuff doesn't really bother me, like Chainsaw Massacre, any of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's the paranormal because I know like spirits and stuff
kind of linger. Have you had experiences?
With spirits?
With anything paranormal?
I have once. I don't know if I can tell you guys.
People who have had experiences that are especially weirded out.
Well, yeah, because it's always, you never know when it's going to happen.
Yeah, it was
happen right
really
now.
Weird. It was very, like, trippy. I know you guys want to know. I can see
you
chomping at the bit.
Curious now.
Yeah.
So,
I love scary stuff. That's what we're here for. It
wasn't scary.
Yeah.
It wasn't scary. It was just trippy.
Okay.
Okay, so I went to this club. You're gonna laugh.
Okay.
This is in Los Angeles. I've been living in Los Angeles for like over 8 years now. And then I went to this club. It was called the Garden of Eden. And it was on, I think it was Hollywood Boulevard and La Brea. And all my friends worked the door, so I was always getting in there for free. So I was like, I'm coming. I'm always coming. So we went, and I was sitting on the sofa, and I remember at the time, it was a long time ago, when Hugh Hefner would come in and he would bring his girls, and they would like circle around and dance and then go back up to VIP and hang back out with him and so forth. So I was sitting on the sofa and I was talking to this girl. She was very pretty, and we were having this great conversation. And then this guy, he walks over to our sofa, and he sits directly next to her. So I'm sitting on the left-hand side. She's sitting in the middle, and he's sitting to the right of her. And he's like, hey, how you guys doing? Da, 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 da. And she's looking at me like, do you know this guy? I was like, I have no clue who this guy was. So she gives me the look like, I'm going to go to the bathroom, you ditch this guy, and then I'll come back and talk to you. I was like, got it. So she leaves. She actually said, I go to the bathroom.
That plan you make with your eyes.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. It was all with the eyes. It's funny you said that. It's totally with the eyes. So she leaves. Instead of him leaving too, which I thought he would, he slides over and starts talking to me. Yeah. So he's telling me, he says, hey, what's your name? And we started talking a little bit, and then he tells me, he says, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I do this, this, and that. He says, well, that's not really what you're going to do.
Ooh.
I said, excuse me? And he looked at me and he said, I'm an angel.
What?
I started busting out laughing. I was like, all right, man, you're an angel. He's like, no, I'm serious. And he says, I'm going to tell you what you're going to do. And he gives me this idea, and he says, that is what you're going to do. And the idea hadn't been created yet. Mm-hmm. And he says, but you can't tell anybody. Do you understand? You can't tell a single soul what I just told you.
Well, here we are right now.
Right? Uh-oh.
And so then he gets up and leaves.
Huh.
So I'm like, that was weird.
Yeah.
So I get up and I go looking for the girl. And the club is starting to close and people are like filing out. And it's like a stairway and you have to walk down the stairs. And I see her at the bottom of the stairs. I'm like, hey, what's up? And she's like, hey, what happened? What happened with that guy? And I was like, do you believe in angels? And she's like, she starts laughing. And I was like, me
neither.
Right. And I started laughing too. And then all of a sudden, the dude who I was just talking to pokes his head like over my shoulder and he's like, are you talking about me?
Oh my God.
And he pulls me away from her.
Yeah.
And he starts walking around and he starts naming people and what they do and all this stuff. And people are like, wait, what? Do I know you? And he starts...
Oh, like people are hearing him say this stuff and they're reacting. Like,
no, he's pointing people out and saying, your name is such and such and you do this and your girlfriend is this. And he's saying things
about... And they're reacting like,
oh my God.
I know you.
Yeah, like they're shocked.
Oh, wow.
And he goes from 4 or 5 different people.
Oh, geez.
And finally he settles on this like homeless guy who's sitting there and says, your name, and you came from such and such. And the guy goes, I'm from outer space. And he's like, see? And so the guy walks up to me and says, we walk around just like normal people. You just don't know who we are. And so that's what we do. And then he walked away and that was it. I never saw him again. So 10 minutes later, I like go and call my mother. Because that's what I'm the only child. And that's my best friend. So.
So funny. I like that. I'm an only child. Just so y'all know.
So at that time, I didn't have a cell phone. Okay. And I had to go to a payphone to call.
Oh, okay.
So it was the payphone by Denny's on Sunset. I remember this. And I had like one of those calling cards.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you called the calling card, and I rang, and my mom answered, and she lives in D.C., Maryland. And she answered, she's like, what are you doing? Is this an emergency? What's going on? And I told her what happened to me. And she's like, oh my gosh. She's like, well, what was the idea that he told you? You can make some money, you might as well make it now.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
She's like, what was the idea?
Yeah.
And just as I was about to tell her, the phone goes dead.
Ooh.
And I still had 1,000 minutes on the calling card.
Yeah.
Damn. That's
Suspicious.
So that happened.
So that was your weird, like, paranormal...
That was my paranormal weird thing.
I don't know if I'd call it paranormal, but supernatural.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, supernatural.
That was a lame joke. I'm sorry.
No. It was definitely supernatural.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I have not met an angel.
No, I don't think I have either. Although I was shopping with Gabby once, my roommate, she and I were at the mall, and some lady walked up to us, and she did say to Gabby, she's like, there's an angel on your shoulder or by you or whatever. And, that was just one of those weird...
Out of the blue?
Okay.
Like a stranger?
Yeah, like a total stranger just walked up to us and said that to her. And, I looked at her a little funny after that, and just like, are they always watching us?
Yeah, are they always there?
Yeah.
I don't know if I want somebody just
always
on my shoulder.
Conversations that are always angel friendly.
Right. It was trippy. It's definitely trippy.
Man.
Oh man. All right. Well, I have a lot of questions already because I've pre-read the script. But I'm not. I'm gonna wait, let the audience hear the story, and then crack into questions. So if you don't mind, I'd love to dive into, I know you said you didn't have an exact logline, but if you just want to summarize for people, like, roughly what the story's about.
It's basically about friendship, and a spooky incident happens with their friendship and the results of that, basically.
Okay. Cool. Well, we're going to dive into Minnie and Alvis. You just want to take it from, we do read, like, all of it, like the fade in, interior, all of that.
Gotcha. I'll read the scene descriptions.
Did we decide who we're
You're
doing?
Minnie, I'm Alvis.
Okay. Got it.
I am the straight man.
Okay.
Sounds good. All right. Fade in. Interior living room night. Alvis, 20s, sits on the sofa watching TV in pajamas and socks. Minnie, 20s, African American, creeps up behind her.
Boo, bitch.
I heard you coming like a mile away with those big-ass Birkenstocks you're wearing. What black girl wears Birkenstocks?
Minnie leaps over the sofa, resting her large feet on the coffee table.
This one. What are you watching? I hope it's nothing scary.
That's all I watch is scary stuff.
Why?
Something drops in the kitchen. They don't know what, but it was loud.
Alvis, did you hear that? Are your parents home?
No?
Alvis leans her head back, attempting to look in the kitchen. She can't see. She turns to Minnie.
Want to go check it out?
Hell to the no. All the knives are in the kitchen. And we all know what... Oh, sorry.
There's a page flip in the
There's
middle
a...
of this line.
Sorry. All right. All the knives are in the kitchen. And we all know it's the black girl gets killed first in the movie.
Did you see Us?
One movie. One. You're going to hold that one movie over me the rest of my life? I don't know why you keep bringing that movie up. It's not like I bring up Get Out all the time.
Fine.
Sorry.
I'll go check it out.
And leave me here alone? Absolutely not. I completely veto that idea.
Fine then. Come with me.
No. I changed my mind. I'll stay here.
You sure?
Minnie nods vehemently. Alvis takes a deep breath.
Okay.
Slowly but surely, Alvis creeps into the kitchen.
Wait!
Alvis pauses.
You want me to text the police?
You can text the police? Is that even a thing?
No, I don't think it is. I can call them, though.
What if it's nothing?
What if it's something?
I'm gonna go check it out.
Okay, I'll just dial 911 and wait.
Good idea.
Alvis tiptoes toward the kitchen.
Wait.
Alvis stops.
What now?
You should probably take off your socks. Your kitchen floor is super slippery. In case you have to run.
Good point.
Alvis takes off her socks. Minnie watches. When concluded, Alvis inches toward the kitchen.
Wait.
Alvis turns, annoyed.
Go with Jesus.
She holds up a fist and crosses herself like a good Catholic. Alvis nods and continues into the kitchen. She disappears. Minnie takes out her phone and dials 911. A tense moment. As Minnie waits, she looks at the candy and corn on the coffee table, her Birkenstocks, a painting on the wall, the door, the window, back to the kitchen opening. Sweat beads had formed on Minnie's head. The camera moves slowly and methodically toward the entranceway. Alvis suddenly appears in the doorway smiling, with a refrigerator magnet in hand.
See? It was nothing.
She holds up the magnet for Minnie to see. Minnie's eyes grow wide. She dials the other one. Black. Credits. An empty pair of large Birkenstocks lay haphazardly on the coffee table.
Okay, so...
Where'd I go?
So Ashley and I had like a mild debate about the ending. Not like full on yelling at each other, fortunately.
I so want to hear this debate.
We get pretty heated
Oh,
about our scripts.
So
Yeah.
heated.
Totally want to hear this debate. So interested right
Well,
now.
we're going to dive into it as soon as we get back from this quick sponsor break. This podcast is brought to you by Arizona Studios. Arizona Studios, a full-service video content specialist. We're here to illuminate your message and compel your audience to take the right action. For more information, head to our website at arizonastudios.com and be sure to tune in for more content on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. All right, so Ashley and I had a mild debate, and it was because our interpretations of the ending were a little bit like off.
Well, they were just different.
Different, yeah. So, and I could be totally wrong.
I'm listening.
When I read the end, my understanding is that, so Alvis goes into the kitchen, she finds a magnet and assumes that's what made the noise. She comes back and she shows that to Minnie. what Alvis doesn't see is that when Minnie is looking at Alvis, something or someone, we don't know what, it's ambiguous, but shows up presumably behind Alvis, and Minnie sees it and reacts. And that's when she dials the last number to call the police, because she sees whatever's about to happen and Alvis doesn't. That's what I thought happens at the end.
Okay.
As the writer...
No, I want to hear the other side. I need to hear the other side so I can waver between both or vacillate.
It's more of like, I got that as well, but I guess what I was unclear of was that, did she actually see something? Or did she realize, who knows, maybe it's Alvis who's like, I don't know, an alien or something, and just now realized it, or I don't know. I don't know. I was unsure if there was something that was behind her or not, since nothing was said. I mean, it's still, like, creepy of, like, well, what happened? What did she see? Just her eyes, get super wide, and then she dials it. Like, what happens? Like, I think it's more of the fact that I don't like cliffhangers.
It's the ambiguity of the ending that's, like, not hitting for you.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, not in a bad way. It's just more of, like, I want answers.
I want answers.
That's really the cause.
How did you, as the writer, when you were making it, what did you interpret was happening?
I actually love ambiguous endings.
Yeah.
And so I kind of meant it to be a discussion.
Okay.
Like after.
Like you don't really know what it is. Yeah.
I know what it is, but I'm not going to
say
what it is.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
I just want to see the discussion and see. I think that's the most interesting part of movies. That afterwards, you come away and you're like, hey, let's talk about this. Let's talk about that. Like, I hate movies when you walk away and like 15 minutes later, like, what did we just see?
Yeah.
Or everything, or all the questions are answered, and you're just like,
And then something I think that I was talking to Ashley about too on that subject was just, I think it's the fear of the unknown. Like, it's leaving off on a point where it's like, hey, we're not clear, and that's what's scary is that you don't know, and then it leaves so much up to your interpretation. So like they do that in, I think The Babadook is a good example. Like in that film, it's like you can hear the sounds of what's happening when...
What film was this? Babadook?
The Babadook.
Never seen it. What is it?
Oh, it's a horror film. It's a British horror film.
I
want to say that.
Sure, I don't know. I know
she doesn't watch. She doesn't watch scary movies. Okay. It's a British horror film. And the director who did it, she's a female director, and she also did a recent one called The Nightingale, and it got pretty good reviews too, so I'm probably going to check that one out.
Is that another BBC?
I'd assume. I mean, I'm not sure. They were both pretty independent enough that I don't think they got like full releases here in the U.S. So so I found it online. But it was a really good movie, and and there is like a monster element to it, but you don't ever, like, you see a version of it, and then it's implied that it has like a true form that you don't really see, and you just have sound interaction. And I think that mystery is what makes it creepy, because especially when you play on sound, you know what I mean? Like the audience is trying to imagine what is happening there,
and each person has a different
because your mind just fills stuff in, and then it's probably more gruesome in your head than it is if you were actually
able to see it.
True.
So.
Well, and I think that is why, like, at the end where it's, you just see her shoes, and it's like, well, what the hell happened? Did she like...
Okay, also, I just want to say, literally this script taught me what Birkenstocks are. Like, I read that line and I'm like, what the fuck is that?
What? In Arizona? It's like all the girls wear in Arizona. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, I moved here from Idaho, but I've lived here for quite a while, and I'll be honest, like, I only know one person who wears them.
Wow.
But I did have to look it up, because I was like, I don't know what that is.
Why don't I have a pair? Where are my sandals at? It's like $100 sandals. They're super expensive.
Oh, God. Really?
Yeah.
See, I didn't even look at the pricing because I wasn't shopping. I just Google searched for images because I'm like, what is he talking seen that.
Yeah, they're like I call them Jesus shoes because.
But I've since used them in my own story, by the way.
Wow. Look at you. Like, aha! Found
now
something.
I know what this is.
They really do remind me of like what you would wear, like Jesus shoes.
Yes.
Yeah, I could see that.
I might add that in the script. That's a good idea.
I like that. I like that bit too. Go with Jesus.
Yeah,
It's like a perfect pause moment.
I like their dialogue between the two of them.
Oh yeah,
Like just
no, I think they're funny.
the back and forth.
It's cute. It is a really funny piece for something that does have like an element of horror. Like at the end, I know there is that suspense buildup, but for most of the piece, when you're watching, it is like a comedy, which is good because I think the best horrors have like ebbs and flows where there's tonality shifts and you still get to enjoy the characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something that came up in the script that I wanted to talk about just as a general discussion. On page 2, in the dialogue between Minnie and Alvis, they actually talk about current movies. They mention Us and they mention Get Out.
Correct.
And I didn't dislike that, but I was curious from a writer's standpoint because when you do something like that where you make direct references, it also kind of like dates your piece, right?
100%.
Because now like anyone who watches this at any time knows like, oh, okay, this must have
It was
been when
around
that
this
was
time.
relevant. Like,
Yeah.
so as a writer, like, is that something that you ever think about or put in consideration when you're working on your stories?
Well, I think those two movies are kind of iconic
Yeah.
for Black characters that actually live to the end. And I think
By iconic, we mean the only
movies
movies
that I was like, I'm going to put a staple here and say, hey, this is history now.
This is history.
Yeah.
This is not a movie anymore. It's actually
So funny.
history. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I saw it
Okay.
when I was writing.
So for you, it's like the same thing as, say, like, if someone were to reference in something Citizen Kane, it's like, well, I mean, this could be made at any time and people still talk about Citizen Kane. Like,
Me too. I've watched that movie many a time.
okay.
I have not.
You haven't seen it?
You haven't seen Citizen Kane?
No.
You
There's
know-
a lot of movies I haven't seen.
It's AFI's like #1 movie.
Mm.
You're like,
Need to add that to the list.
The thing with classics is I don't, like, not in a bad way, but they're called classics, but they're really not for everyone. Like, classics are really for people who are really into that critically acclaimed type of film, which is,
Film,
like,
yeah.
film critics, people who are into, like, the art of filmmaking, sure. But, like, I don't think the common viewer would watch Citizen Kane all the way through and be like,
This
yeah,
is
this was
great.
amazing.
Yeah, this is
this
really
is a work of
People
art.
don't realize at that time it was just groundbreaking.
Oh, yeah.
At that time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and it was based
I
off
feel
a
that
true
way
story.
when I watch The Birds. Like, it's like, oh, yeah, this was really cool when it came out.
When it first came out, now you're like,
Yeah.
this is so
These
stupid.
graphics, man.
That's not even a real bird. What was Hitchcock thinking?
Yeah.
But the thing is that after that movie, Orson Welles got banished. He was never allowed to make another movie again after that because that was based off of, the guy who ran the papers. Do you remember?
Wait, I'm sorry. Which one are we talking? Oh, we're
Citizen
talking about
Kane.
Citizen Kane. Okay. No, I don't actually know.
Hearst.
Oh.
Yeah, the Hearst papers, Hearst. So it was like...
Oh, so it was just like a socially, like, yeah. I
Yeah, it
hear
was
you.
based off of his life, and he was kind of like making fun of him at the same time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the
Yeah.
main character, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at that time it was groundbreaking, but I'm guessing now with the cinematography that it was using then, they don't they use now, kind of.
Yeah.
It's like a kind of like a dark, kind of edgy black and white, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you study for the history of it
Right.
rather than actually the content.
Yeah.
Like what it did at that time period.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Like, I love Betty Davis, so I like watch everything that she ever did. Like, Betty Davis is my girl.
Nice.
So diving back into Minnie and Alvis, like, did you have any inspirations going? I know you said that you were motivated to do the piece because you had heard that we were looking for horror scripts, and that's awesome. That makes me happy. But are there any, knowing that this was your first pursuit into doing something like kind of horror, was there any other films that you used as like a reference point or that helped inspire you in writing?
You're going to laugh.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Oh, yeah?
I wrote this in like 15 minutes.
15.
After
I mean, it's not
I
feasible.
left, I was like, I'm going to write like a quick
Let's
script.
write this right now.
And I went home, I sat down, told my girlfriend, hey, stay to the side for give me 15 minutes.
Give me 15 minutes.
Give me 15 minutes. I'm going to write this shit real quick. I banged it out, and then I was like, done.
Nice.
And I went back today and looked at it, just to, make sure there wasn't any, like, horrible.
Like, massive.
Problems. And I was like, it's pretty damn good. And I was like,
For 15 minutes, it's pretty good.
I'm good. So then I was like, I'm good. So I printed it out and ran over here.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for as much of a, like, intense, I guess you can say intense, like, ending and all that, like,
I think that
it's good.
Like, literally the only critique that we talked about before was just if there are ways to make the way the ending is written even more clear. It's not that the ending's not a great... I think that it's good. Like, I think that the idea of it is good, but is there a way in the writing to emphasize what's happening there more clearly for the reader? And obviously when it translates to screen, it's going to be completely different because you're going to be able to rely on the cinematography and how it's shot better. But when you're looking at a script and you can't visually see things, getting other people to see what you're seeing in your head can be a lot more challenging than, again, when you have like a shot list and you have storyboards and you have all those other things.
Well, what were you looking for in terms of the ending? I don't know if you can be a little bit more specific. Like, what were you... Because I was trying to play off of the candy corn, so we got the Halloween aspect.
Yeah.
On the coffee table, her Birkenstocks, painting on the wall, the door.
Yeah, I get you're building the anticipation by, like, cutting to these other things visually. Right. And the sweat beating down her forehead, like, there's that anxiety and intensity. That's not, like, I don't think there's an issue at the end with building up the intensity.
Okay.
I think that, like, for instance, when Ashley read the end, there was a little confusion about, like, why did she hit the one? Which I get, like, we don't want to see, we want to be ambiguous enough that we don't see whatever it is or, if it's a person or what have you.
Correct.
Slowly, methodically toward the entranceway.
I mean, even if it said she holds up the magnet for Minnie to see, Minnie's eyes grow wide, a blackened silhouette is behind ALVIS.
Well, or we talked about,
something.
like, maybe a shadow could be played on, or a reflection in something that's, like, very subtle, or so that the audience knows that she, or even, like, as a hidden thing for people to find would be cool.
I like that, a hidden reflection of something.
Yeah, like, there,
where you
like,
don't
even
see,
if there was, like,
yeah,
like, something on the wall in the background or something, and you just barely see,
off
like,
of the
a figure
painting,
there, or something.
like, off of the painting that she looked at, you could
Yeah.
see some sort of...
Like, you see movement.
Like a figure. Like,
Yeah,
you don't have
like
to
a
see
figure.
it in detail enough
Right.
that you
Yeah.
know what it is,
a
but...
hidden figure through the painting.
Well, because it's like your eyes catch movement.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I mean...
So even if it just moved subtly behind
just
Alvis's
barely.
form, we would know something's behind her.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And then that'll be...
And then when Minnie's eyes grow... And I almost think that having a pause point, too, like... So she holds up the magnet for Minnie to see. If at first Minnie is calm and then we see her react, I almost think that would emphasize the point that she doesn't see whatever it is at first. And then something comes into view, and that's when she starts to panic.
That's a good note. I like that. But I like the hidden aspect, too, where the audience actually has to find it or look deeper and see that reflection.
I like...
Ooh! Got an idea.
Oh, yeah?
What about not the painting?
Okay.
What about the reflection in her eyes?
Well, that would work too. We even talked about like glasses or something, like if she was wearing glasses, or if there was a drink glass on the table or something, like any of that would work.
Yeah. Because then also...
Because she opens her eyes wide,
Yeah.
so then we can go through her irises, because I can kind of see myself in your eyes.
Well, I'm wearing glasses, though.
All of us are wearing glasses.
That's true.
Yeah, I think it could work. And people like playing on the, like, it's not like that's almost like a genre thing, too.
Oh, it is?
I'm trying to see myself in your eyes. I can see something.
Oh, I can see
you.
I
can see something.
Oh, yeah.
I can see,
something there. Yeah, she's got a soul. Like, thanks.
Yeah, it's black. It's outside.
Oh, yeah.
Do you wanna, yeah.
I like that like something I really enjoyed about this piece is that it's not super bloody, because I feel like that's something that, like, especially we're in Arizona, as you can tell because we mention Arizona pretty regularly on the show.
We are here.
What?
I have no idea. I was in California. That's not LA interview. I'm done. I'm out.
Couldn't tell by the
This is
sign
not
on the front of
Hollywood,
the building.
but
Yeah. So we're in Arizona, and like horror as a genre is, I think, fairly popular in our
very
area.
popular.
But a lot of people who do it obviously it's very popular as like the B horror, C horror type genre.
Correct.
And I think a lot of those really rely on A, jump scares, and B, like the element of like blood and gore. And this is nice because it, again, like it's really funny. It almost throws you off guard because you're not anticipating the direction it's going to go in.
Yeah.
And then when it hits, it's you just playing on the suspense instead of trying to use anything too gruesome. And then at the end, even when you roll the credits and we're looking at the Birkenstocks, like it's not implied that it's like some gruesome scene where these two girls were brutally murdered. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like they're gone. You don't know why.
Yeah,
you don't
why?
know
Yeah.
how.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's still really eerie. And I like that. I think it's a good piece, man. Like, yeah.
Thanks.
For only being written in 15 minutes.
Yeah, 15 minutes is pretty freaking good.
Yeah.
I always have an idea where it's going to go, but I kind of like the characters to take me there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I write it.
I also feel like, and this is something that's come up on this podcast before, like, it's hard balancing especially for indie screenwriters, like the balance of enough dialogue versus too much dialogue, and, you know, enough action versus too much. And this is nice because even though it is dialogue heavy, like there is a lot of talking, all of their quips are like really short, and, you know, no one's having like this long excessive monologue in the middle of it. Where it's
Yeah.
like, okay, we get it, you're Whitney.
Let me take my backstory.
Yeah.
Why
Let
I'm
me tell you
afraid.
why I'm
Yeah,
afraid all the
exactly.
I
time.
was raised as a child.
Yeah. It's nice, yeah. And there's enough personality that the characters stand without having to have too much backstory.
Yeah. No, I can see two people like having this conversation and this actually happening to, I mean, not the last part, but you know, like this type of conversation could happen.
I think the dynamic between them makes them likable enough that it's like you do, and that's the hardest part with really short pieces, is making people care about the character enough
Right
that when
away.
something happens, like it's, you know, means something. But because they have each other and they have that witty banter and that friendship vibe, it's relatable, and I think that makes them.
But then
makes you
again,
like them.
so I'm just thinking of it now of this, how much time has passed since she went into the kitchen, because if she's looking at the, you know, the candy on the table, and then her shoes, and then the painting, the door, the window, like, out of all of that time, she's not worried that,
like, Alvis has been in there for quite a while
so
just to find
if
a magnet.
anything, like, maybe just one
almost-
quick dialogue of, like, are you okay?
Yeah.
Or,
I almost feel like, and I could be wrong, but I interpret it as though, and maybe it would help if there was a clock element to it, but I almost feel like it's like in Minnie's head, time has slowed down, even though it's only taking like seconds.
2
like
seconds or
Alvis has
something.
gone in there, it's only taking her a few minutes, but Minnie is so paranoid and like freaked out and scared that
It feels like
in her
eternity.
head, it feels like
Eternity.
it's taking forever.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know
No.
what your
No.
plan was.
No,
but-
I mean, both are valid points. Very valid points.
Okay, it's just one of those, like, you know, they do have a tight relationship with each other, obviously, so it's like, okay, you've been in there for a really long time.
What the fuck is going on?
What
in
is
there?
yeah, did you find the knives and now something's happening? Like, what's
Are you
happening?
already dead on the other side of that wall?
Yeah, like,
If you're not dead,
Yeah, I
I'm
need
leaving.
you to sit.
yeah.
I need you to
Like, you need to speak in the next 5 seconds, or I'm going out the front door.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
out of here.
Well, yeah, and that could be the line of, like, so did you die?
Yeah, right.
Or something, you know?
Yeah.
No, that's good. Good stuff. I like it. I like all that, actually.
That was the only thing that popped in my head real quick.
The time.
So.
The time lapse.
Yeah. Like it.
See, for me, I was trying to build the suspense of it.
No,
and the quiet. Because
Yeah.
everybody hates that time in a movie
Awkward,
when
uncomfortable
off or uncomfortable silence, and I love that.
No,
Through film. All my films have it.
Yeah.
Every last one.
Yeah.
I agree. And I think that it works both ways. Like, moments of long pause can work both for comedic effect and for, like, suspense horror.
Suspense.
So, it honestly, like, yeah, I agree with you. I liked that. I liked that it lasted a while. But I do agree that if it is going to last a while, it either needs to be...
She needs to give you a quip, a comedic quip.
Something. Well, you can break it up with a comedic quip, or you can imply that, again, like, this is in her head. Like, it's not really taking this long.
Okay.
Which that could be, depending on how you
Like,
shoot
it could be as simple as when you see her phone at the beginning, you can see the time, and you can see that it's,
12:30.
Yeah, whatever.
But
and
then, like, say...
And then after all those cuts, you go
her
back,
phone.
and it's...
Ooh,
Yeah, like
that's not a cut to a phone.
12:32.
Yeah.
The door, because she wants to... Okay, so I have...
Well, because she's using her phone in the scene anyway, because she's dialed the 911.
Correct. Her phone.
So you could see the time on her.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, that was everything we had to say. Is there anything else that you want to talk about this particular script, or even like anything else you've got going on, you're working on, you want to tell our audience about?
I am been working on my new play. Actually.
Ooh. Stage play?
Stage play.
Nice.
That's how I got started in the film business. I worked on stage.
Do you know Cassandra Hall?
Should I know her? Does she work here?
She doesn't
No.
work here. She is also doing plays and theater. And
She was
all
one of
that.
our other guests on the podcast, and she's a stage playwright
Oh, okay.
who's, trying to learn how to convert to screenplay.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, actually, all my stage work has been in Los Angeles.
Oh,
I've
okay.
never had any stage stuff here. I think my stuff is a little too risque, to be honest with you. Arizona's not very... They kind of want to stick with, their genres of Music Man and their seasons. So I've been writing, and I've called it, you're going to laugh, because now you guys kind of got me in this weird mode of murder and intrigue and horror. So I called it Birth of a Murder.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mysterious.
But it's
sounds
creating a buzz here not so much here, but in Los Angeles.
Okay.
So I don't know. I brought it. It's like a page. I don't know if you have time.
We can. We don't. So we'd have to wrap this up, and then we can read it on the side. Or if you want to do it in an episode, we can do it as a totally separate episode.
No. I don't want to do it as an episode.
Okay. You sure?
Yeah. I didn't know if we had time. That's why I brought
right.
it if we had time.
Well, we definitely, off the air, like, I'm down to read it. I mean, it's only a page. It's not going to take that long.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Well, we can wrap this up.
Keep an eye out for, what was the name? Birth of a Murder?
Birth of a Murder.
Okay, keep an eye out for Birth of a Murderer and Minnie and Alvis. You know what? The one last thing, and I'm tangenting again, the one last thing that we
What?
did want to ask
Go ahead.
was Minnie and Alvis. Like, I know that, okay, so we know those are the character names, but do they ever even call each other by their names in the story?
Minnie says Elvis once.
Oh, okay. So why go with the character names for the title? Or just hadn't really picked anything else?
Honestly, I met somebody at that thing named Alvis, and I was like, it was on my mind. I was like, I just
Quick,
named it
I
Alvis.
like this name.
I'm just use this name, and I just found Minnie, and I was just threw it together, and I was like, I just call Minnie and Alvis.
This sounds cute. This sounds...
Alvin and the Chipmunk.
Yeah.
Alvis is great.
Well, I have an Aunt Minnie, so I guess, it is a real name for a real person. So, yeah, I can see it.
I mean, I didn't question whether or not they were real names. I was just curious why the title of the story was their names.
Oh, because
It's
I
just a
kind
name
of
you don't
the
hear
friendship. I kind of wanted to center around their friendship.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's really about their relationship. The piece.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it is in the genre of horror, but it is actually about them, really.
Okay.
The two girls.
Cool. Hey guys, thanks again for listening. This has been New Script on the Block. If you have any feedback or comments, please send them to info@arizonastudios.com, or you can comment at us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, SoundCloud. If you're listening on iTunes, again, just send it to our email at info@arizonastudios.com. Thanks again, and you'll hear from us next time.